97.5. Presented by Zadok Jewelers. There are jewelry stores, then there's Zadok's. KFNC on Bellevue, Houston.
And welcome to the In Wheel Time Automotive Show, Houston's most awarded #1 weekly car talk show. Today, we talk to the Vice President of the Houston Auto Dealers Association, Rochelle Salinas, about the viability of our hometown dealers. Gina Shald-Knowles joins us to talk about the postponed season of the Texas Short Track Racing Series. And later, author Neil Bascom talks about how a legendary car beat Hitler's best. In our new car showroom, we'll review the Toyota Camry and the Ford Escape. You'll hear our weekly Ram Tracks and Jeep Trails features, along with this week's automotive news. All that and more on the last radio show. And it's all just ahead on today's 2-hour In Wheel Time car show for Saturday, March 28th, 2020. Today's show is presented by Ram Trucks, back-to-back Truck of Texas, and by Jeep. The Jeep Celebration event is here, which means great deals on the SUVs built to stand the test of time. They're waiting, so hurry in before time runs out. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World, Mars. Raise your hand down there.
Howdy, Mom.
And King Conrad DeLong here, although you tried to raise your hand when I said raise your hand down there.
Hey, I was just down there, you know. Yeah. I wasn't paying attention to where you were pointing.
Okay. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us today, and thank you very much. We appreciate you. It's been quite a week. When we were with you last Saturday, we were just beginning the throes of the coronavirus craziness. And yes, a lot of the stores were closed last week, but it's gotten a lot worse, and I think it's going to get worse. Is that a word?
Worser.
Worser. It's going to get worsest in the weeks to come. But at any rate, we are here today to talk about cars and how coronavirus, or COVID-19, whichever you want to call it, is affecting all of us. Not only us, but the automotive industry as well. Oh, yeah. And it's been quite a journey just in the past 7 days.
Yeah, even though the automotive industry is considered essential because it's part of the transportation logistics portion of our world, new car operations have generally shut down, going with smaller crews at all of the showrooms, trying to lower the number of people that are there, trying to practice all of the correct social distancing instructions we've been given by the federal government. Service departments and independent shops are still open, and they have to be because people still need transportation. They need to have...
Even though they're not going anywhere.
But there's people on the move. You know, there's people that are, you know, you go out on the roads, yeah, the traffic is way down, but there are still people on the roads moving around doing something.
You and I are among them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and a lot of others, you know. The traffic was probably 1/10 of what it typically is.
Or 1/100th in the drive times, yes.
But people are still on the roads and need to get their cars repaired, need to get their cars maintenanced and serviced, and that's why the transportation and repair shops are considered essential.
Well, one of the things that dawned on me this week is, after being in touch with kind of automotive news and other sources to find out what's going in the automotive industry, I thought we need to touch on our local dealers and see what's going on with that. So joining us live on the phone right now is Rochelle Salinas. Hi, Rochelle.
Hi, how are you, gang?
Well, we're doing good. How are you?
You know, hanging in here.
Like everybody else.
Like everyone else.
Yeah. Well, we wanted to talk to you about the Houston auto dealers, and I know that times are tough, especially when it comes to sales of new cars. They're down like a gajillion %. I don't know the exact number today, but the last I read, nationwide sales were down 45%. I don't know what it is here in Houston. But the bottom line is that people aren't buying cars. They're worried. They don't have an income. They don't have a job, much less worrying about trying to buy a new car. So what are you getting from feedback from the dealers in the Houston area?
Well, that's definitely the case, Don. You know, everyone is being cautious right now. Plus, if you're a non-essential business and you're staying home and in self-quarantining, then you shouldn't be out, you know, necessarily purchasing a car at this moment. But if that was a purchase that you had been planning for and wanted to make or are in need of because you have to have transportation, our city is limited on mass transit opportunities. So a lot of people in this city need vehicles to just get to and from their essential business work. And so dealerships are accommodating those sales as well as their repair shops and service businesses open. And those sales, are in modified ways. They're able to do them online and make a lot of the transactions at a safe social distance so that, they're using all of the precautions necessary to work within these limitations today.
Yeah, I noticed a lot of manufacturers and a lot of dealers are advertising that you can do all the purchasing online and they will safely deliver a vehicle to you, so there's not a lot of interpersonal action. And that's a nice thing. If you have to have a new car, they're offering an ability to let you take care of it, do all the used car bidding online, do all the purchase, all the financing without having to be face to face with somebody, and then they will deliver that vehicle to your home.
Exactly, and they're offering a lot of incentives and extension on interest and different things as well, so that if you are in need of buying that vehicle, then you can do so and do so kind of the most responsible way possible at this moment.
One of the things that I saw, Rochelle, is actually 0%, no payments for like 6 months, and huge deep discounts on cars. If you're going to buy a car or in just thinking about buying a car, boy, this is the time to buy one.
And that's 0% for 84 months.
Yeah.
And that's exactly right. And so if you're if you are able and prepared and to do that purchase, then now is definitely the time to buy a car. My sister is one of those people. Her husband had just got a new job right now. He's getting a company vehicle, so they no longer needed his truck, and she just had a baby, wants to upgrade it to an SUV, and she was able to take advantage of that zero interest and deferred payments and be able to live comfortably for a little bit, knowing that they have that cushion to go off of. So I think if you were prepared for that, it's a good time to buy.
Well, and not only that, but I also, matter of fact, driving into work this morning, I saw a camouflage Lamborghini SUV. I thought that was interesting.
That might be an extravagant purchase right now.
It may be. I'm not sure what kind of deals they're offering, but I did see what looked like a certified pre-owned Volkswagen Passat. And I know that a lot of dealers, most dealers, have certified pre-owned cars for sale if you don't want to jump into the new car thing.
That's right, and that's definitely an option to look at too. And that aspect of the dealership is also operational right now. And as being deemed not an essential business is rewarding for us, but it's also really is important because of that service and repair aspect. And then I had a lot of people questioning me, but why do you have to make car sales? And I said, well, what about that doctor that's going to the hospital each day to care for people? What if his car breaks down and it's totaled, unfortunately, in an accident or something? He's going to need transportation. And if he can't go buy a new car, what is he supposed to do? So, this is a time for that to happen, as well as people that have a lease that's coming up. They can't call and negotiate that lease trade-in necessarily. They need to go ahead and make that happen and keep that business going. The car business is one of our largest economic drivers with real estate in this city, and it's important to keep those people working and keep those transactions taking place when they are fiscally responsible, as well as done in a healthy way.
I heard that some service departments were laying off some service mechanics, and obviously that goes hand in hand with parts. And I would imagine that's on a per dealership kind of basis. Is that what you're getting?
Yeah, that's definitely per dealership and how those different businesses are ran. And it's, people are really having to make tough business decisions right now, and it's very unfortunate times.
And some of that is being driven by the social distancing guidelines we've been given. You go into some of these dealerships and they've got 60 technicians, 15, 20 service advisors, 20 people in the parts department. That many people in that an enclosed area, you can't keep your 6-foot distance. So what some of them are doing are what I'm calling shift sectioning their employees. So, they may run a fifth of their shift for a certain period of time and then switch to another fifth of the shift another period of time, but they're trying to lower the amount of people that are there in the service departments and parts departments so they can give everybody the opportunity to have social distancing space. And I know a lot of stores are doing a lot of disinfecting of vehicles. As they come in, they'll disinfect the vehicle, send it back into the shop, get it worked on, and then before it's returned to the customer, as the employee gets out of the car, they'll disinfect the vehicle and the next person to get in the car. After they give the disinfectant the time to work, the customer will get in the car and drive away, and the intent is to make sure that the vehicle's been properly disinfected.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Conrad. I mean, everyone's doing all that they can to follow these CDC procedures and keep their community safe. You know, dealerships are great, huge community partners, and they're going to go to whatever extent that they can to remain good community partners and taking those extreme steps too.
Yeah, and they see the importance of making sure that they're protecting their customers and their employees together, and that is following the CDC guidelines. But, you know, people need to understand that they are all trying to do as best they can in staying open to do business, because it'll be very devastating on a lot of people if they just completely shut down. So as an essential part of the business, a lot of shops and a lot of service departments are staying open, but they are going with smaller crews.
That's correct. Yep. And, you know, we're all doing the best that we can in all capacities, right?
So I know that, you know, just by the nature of things, that dealerships, for the most part, are in competition with each other in a way for new car sales purchases. And you know, hey, I can beat your deal, whatever the case may be. Do the dealers actually talk amongst themselves and through Houston Auto Dealers Association to say, hey, how's it going over there at so-and-so's Toyota dealership? Well, over here at the Chevy dealership, we're dealing with it this way. Do they talk amongst themselves?
Oh, absolutely. You know, we're so fortunate in Houston that our dealers are, yes, competitive, but very friendly. And we've been communicating frequently with them from HADA about and the Texas Auto Dealers Association on anything that we're aware of and that's happening for their business side, as well as, you know, how to function in these CDC guidelines, as well as the proper things to advertise and how to do it correctly, because there's a lot of guidelines in dealership advertising, as you know. So they're definitely communicating with one another and helping out where they can, because, you know, they're all in this industry together.
Do they share, like for instance, if one dealer is having problems in a particular marketing area or a way to sell cars, do they share that with other dealers?
I think they're probably just observant of other dealers in that aspect. You know, I was just talking to a dealer the other day, and he goes, "Oh, I just got an email from this other dealership, and I noticed that they're offering this. I guess I got to go and adjust what we're doing. Let me call you back later." And I'm like, "Okay."
Right.
So, you know, they're on each other's mailing lists and watching the TV commercials and such as well, and kind of learning through observation, I would say, also.
And I could speak from my experience. They share best practices, if that's kind of what you're saying.
For sure.
Now, as far as the marketing and selling of cars, they probably won't share the best practices on that. They watch each other. But as far as best practices, as far as how to serve the community, how to serve the customers, how to serve their employees, they share that information amongst themselves all the time.
Well, I mean, all I could think of was, you know, dealer A is a friend of dealer B. They sell completely different brands of cars, and give the guy a call and say, "Hey, man, you know, I'm afraid I'm going to have to lay off a few people this week." The other guy says, "Well, here's what I have done over at my dealership, trying not to lay off anybody, if that helps you."
Yeah, that would be some of the best practices they would share.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, so Ben, all I could think of was with all the car shows that have been canceled. We just got Houston Auto Show by the skin of our skin. Yeah.
I was talking with the Chicago Auto Show, and we both agreed that we were very fortunate timing of our events this year, and we're so grateful that we were able to have our events and go through with that, because, you know, economically that could pay a big toll on the dealer associations across the country too, that rely on this auto show revenue as the majority of our revenues for the year.
Do you think that this COVID-19 thing is going to affect next year's Houston Auto Show in some way?
I'm hoping not. I'm an optimist, but we're definitely entering into a new world and a new normal. So we'll see what we have to do and what adjustments need to be made, if any.
Yeah, I've got a feeling that there's going to be hand sanitizer stations no matter where you are. You're going to a concert, a car show, or a movie. As you walk in, you got to sanitize your hands. I think it's going to be a completely changed world.
Yeah, there'll be some new cleaning practices before. At the auto show, the number one cleaning practice is making sure the cars are shiny and the fingerprints aren't on the windows and the windshields and the hoods of the cars. But now I'm sure we'll take some extra disinfectant steps too.
Yeah, now we're going to make sure the attendees are shiny and clean before they come in.
That's right.
Rochelle, it's always good to talk to you. Thanks so much for taking the time out of your busy day. How are the boys?
They're holding strong. Children are so resilient.
How is Mom holding up? That's the question.
How are you doing with the boys?
I'm happy to have this interview, as usual.
A little diversion never hurt anybody. We love you. Thank you so much. Give the hubby and all of our friends a good, warm hello to us.
Thanks. Same to you guys. Take care.
Thanks. Rochelle Salinas, Vice President, Houston Automobile Dealers Association. Just ahead, we're going to take you into the In-Wheel Time new car showroom. Got a review of the Toyota Camry TRD. It's an all-new hot rod model of the Camry. If you can believe it, you'll want to hear about that. You can always take our show with you on your smartphone by joining us on our stream on Facebook and YouTube. In-Wheel Time continues after this quick break.
ESPN 97.5.
The Jeep Celebration event is here, and we're inviting you to get great deals on the SUVs built to stand the test of time, which means more time to discover all that awaits in the luxurious Jeep Grand Cherokee. More time to go beyond the ordinary with the help of Jeep Cherokee's legendary capability. More time to chase the sunset in Jeep Compass. And of course, more time taking in some rays in Jeep Renegade. Time is the ultimate test, and your time to enjoy great deals at the Jeep Celebration event is running out. Jeep is a registered trademark.
GTG, BRB, OMW, be there in a few. You may think that these kinds of texts are fine because of their length, and you can easily send them at a stoplight. But no, answering one text can take your attention away from the road for 5 seconds. And traveling at 55 miles an hour, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Make good decisions, don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Thanks for joining us for today's In-Wheel Time Car Show. I want to paint it black. Yeah, I love that song. That's my era. Your grandparents' era.
Oh.
So, thank you for playing that. Are you familiar with the song?
I've heard it.
You've heard it. Good answer. All right. Yes, so I was, being the broadcasting person and working with two non-broadcasting people, it's been a real interesting time in the studio, especially of late, with Mars with his microphone open on there and typing on his laptop over there, and then Conrad sitting next to the microphone going. So
what are you trying to say, Don?
He's the professional, and we're just a couple of schmucks.
No, I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, but you wouldn't disagree with it either.
Time now for this hour's car review. It's time for the 2020 Toyota Camry. Camry comes in these trim levels: the L, the LE, the SE, the XSE, the XLE, and the TRD. There's a rap song in that somewhere. If I put a mind to it, we could go for it.
Yeah, but it may have some bad words included in it.
If I'm involved in it, I'm sure it would. So I had the all-new trim level, the TRD, which stands for Toyota Racing Development and not anything else. It is a mid-size car, four-door in nature.
Looked great.
It did, didn't it? 5 passengers. It's actually, the new Camry was all new in 2017. The TRD that we're going to talk about here is all new for this model year. So what makes it different than a regular Camry? It's got a front splitter on it. Wide lower rocker panels, blacked out wheels, unique raised spoiler, What I liked about it, all of it. It looks bad to the bone.
Yeah, the rear spoiler was
Don
cool.
Armstrong talking about a 6-cylinder Camry 4-door. Grandma's car. And it looks really good.
It didn't look like Grandma's car.
It certainly
Unless
did not.
it was the little old lady from Pasadena, maybe.
So interior, good one.
Thank you.
A little retro, but I like it.
I'll take it.
Interior highlights. Finally, they've got Android Auto along with Apple CarPlay. That was added last year. And they've also got Amazon Alexa in this car.
Really?
Yes, they do.
So you took the wife out of the back seat. Now Alexa tells you how to drive. You're too close.
So,
You're speeding.
well,
Left turn.
What would us that have been married a lot,
Multiple times.
Yeah.
what would us that had been married a lot do without somebody nagging at us and telling us how wrong we are? I walked into the door knowing that I was wrong, no matter what it was that was going to come out of my mouth. So I got it. Black cloth leather combo interior seating with red stitching and the TRD embroidered logo on it. It smacks of a car that if you have to have a car, you don't want an SUV. By golly, what you need to do is look at this thing, because here is the perfect scenario, where you go and you think, I need a 4-door sedan, but man, I just don't know. This will satisfy everybody's need in the family, including those of us that like souped up looking cars.
And it truly looks cool, and the contrast of the black, dark gray of the accents that make it a TRD to whatever color it is. The one you had was red.
Yes.
But I could see it really looking cool on a white car as well.
Highly sculpted dash, and I do mean highly sculpted dash, and I'm here to tell you that dash, the way that it is designed, is the bomb. It's not your plain old Jane dash in this car at all.
So highly sculpted, this is the Michelangelo of dashes?
You look at it. You're going to say, oh, yeah, I guess it is. Cargo, trunk room, adequate, but because of the cross bracing, and I'll get to that in a minute, cross bracing behind the rear seat, there is no fold down rear seat. The seat is fixed.
Oh, okay.
The other Camrys, you can fold down the back seat and have access to the trunk, not this one.
So they stiffen the whole car up by adding those cross bracing in the back.
Getting there. High marks for design. What I thought was, okay, so you're going to do a cross brace behind the seat cushion in the back. All right, well, could you not at least do a pass-through behind the armrest between the seats?
Some cars do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's that. As far as the motor is concerned, it still has the 3.5-liter V6, no increase in horsepower, which I thought was kind of a letdown, but still has 301 horsepower. You can get a 200 horsepower four-banger in the base Camry, but not in this one, thank goodness. 297 pound-feet of torque through an 8-speed automatic paddle-shifted
In a Camry.
Transmission. 22 miles per gallon city, 31 highway, combined to 25. I got 28.8 over 335 miles.
Wow.
Spunky attitude is what I liked about it, and that's what I'm going to go with. What could use improvement? More power with this TRD package. Do something.
Turbocharge it, something.
Exhaust system, maybe an
coffee
intake
can
system.
exhaust system on it.
Do something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Be interesting to see if TRD as a accessory item sells a bolt-on kit to add some more power to it.
All-wheel drive is offered for the first time this year in the Camry. The springs on the car, it's a lot stiffer with more sporty handling than a regular Camry on this one. Not overly stiff for the moms and the kids. Base trim price for a Camry, for this Camry, this TRD is $31,040. Price is tested $32,895, and that's only because it had special paint, a two-tone roof, plus the delivery charge. Base model price, if you want to just get into a plain Jane four-cylinder Camry, $24,425. How can you beat that?
And they sell hundreds of thousands of them a year.
Competitors, Honda Accord, $23,870. Chevy Malibu, $22,000 and $95 on top of that. Dodge Charger, $29,895. $895. And that's the review of the 2020 Toyota Camry TRD. And thanks to Toyota for loaning that to me. I really enjoyed the car. All right. Next hour, we'll review the Ford Escape. Next week, you can watch or listen to this In Wheel Time car show on Facebook.com/InWheelTime and on YouTube/InWheelTime, like some of you are doing today. Thanks for joining us here on the In Wheel Time car show.
ESPN 97.5.
Ram Trucks, back-to-back Truck of Texas. The landscape in the Lone Star State has changed, and we've changed with it. Stronger, more powerful, innovative, and luxurious. Awards are great, but the only thing on our mind is getting better, delivering harder for Texans, and pushing the limits of what's possible. Because when you lead from within, you redefine what a truck can do. Ram, built to serve. Ram is registered trademark of FCA US LLC.
Let's be honest. The National Symphony may not be in his future, but he wanted to try violin. So you said yes because you love him. And if you love him that much, love him enough to make sure he's buckled up and in the back seat. Find out more about keeping your kids safe in your vehicle at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Show him you love him. Keep him safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hey, it's the In Wheel Time car show. Thank you for joining us today. On the line with us now, Gina Child-Knowles, Texas Short Track Racing Series. Gina, how are you?
I'm good, guys. How are you?
Well, we could be better if we were going to go to a race tonight out at Houston Motorsports Park.
Yes, I know. We all would be better. Wouldn't that be nice?
It would be nice. Even if we had to sit 15 feet apart, I'd be willing to do that.
Yeah, but when it comes to drafting, you need to get closer than 6 feet.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but
But you can sneeze all you want in the race car, and it wouldn't.
Right
it
in
wouldn't
the
matter.
helmet. That's right.
That's right.
You got your own
Breathing apparatus.
Yeah, well,
That's right.
at least the face shield anyway. So, what do you got? What are we going to do?
Well, we are just kind of
On hold?
in limbo.
Yeah.
Yes, on hold. I'm redoing the schedule, of course. I'm hoping to start at the end of May. We definitely can't put on the first race because we're NASCAR sanctioned. We're following NASCAR's guidelines, and they are suspended until May 3rd. So our first race was, or not our first race, our second race was to be May the 2nd. So I'm pushing back the first two races and going to start either May 23rd or May 30th. I'm not sure yet.
Once you start, are you going to try to make up the races that you had originally scheduled?
I am. Because we're NASCAR sanctioned, the guys have to run a set amount of races.
Gotcha.
And so we do have to make those up unless they lift anything. But I plan on trying to race those. I kind of have to weigh a lot of things. A lot of the guys are laid off.
Yep.
So getting back to racing is great. But I need to make sure, how many cars are we going to have? How many people are going to be able to, afford to jump back in and race? So I don't know. I don't know when we're going to start, so I don't know how many times we can race. And I don't want to race more than, the majority of our field can, finance.
Sure.
So it's a lot of different things we
Right.
have to look at.
And see, I didn't even think about that. I just expected the full field, but it makes sense that chances are that you're not going to have a full field because of the layoffs.
Right. I mean, racers are going to want to race. They're going to want to race, and they're, what they have is probably ready to race because we were almost there. But at the same time, I don't want to start off strong and let's start racing, and then it kind of go a little bit downhill because they wanted to race, but they can't afford to continue to race.
By the way,
So this year is going to be crazy.
I have to congratulate you or pat on the back from a distance or something, but the pictures that you've been posting this past week and a half of some of the old racers from mostly from the Meyer Speedway days have just been excellent.
Oh, I follow it with a passion. It's awesome.
So do
Thank
I.
you.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people do. If I were going to offer anything, is that some of the pictures don't have who's on that picture, and I want to know that. The one with Bill Blumerick, I actually printed that out. I know that sounds crazy.
Well, I know Gina will post a picture and then ask people who is this?
Yeah,
because she might not know who all of it is.
I don't. I have so many racing pictures. You know what blows me away about the racing? First of all, I love how it keeps racing relevant and how it keeps people interacting and how, everybody talks. But what I love the most about the racing stuff is people will post pictures of other racers.
Yes.
That didn't have anything to do with their family.
Right.
And, most people now go and buy pictures of their driver, their son or their daughter or whatever. But and back from Myers Speedway, everybody has pictures of everybody. And they'll share pictures of, someone will share a picture with my dad. And I'm like, who is this, Mom? And my mom will have to tell me, oh, that's so-and-so's. And it amazes me that after all of these years, they still have pictures of each other. Well, they know everything.
Well, Gina, now, let's make it clear that this isn't on the Texas Short Track Racing Series site. This is on Playland Park Myers Speedway site.
On Facebook.
Correct.
Yeah, on Facebook.
On Facebook.
Well,
yeah.
and the other cool, you're teaching people the history of
Houston auto racing
in Houston. I didn't realize. Everybody knows Foyt, and I'm sure there'll be some Foyt stuff in there. But I didn't realize that Richard Petty came to Houston to race as well.
Oh. So Bobby Allison.
All of these big names were a part of Houston asphalt racing back in the day. And hopefully bring them back in the future.
Well, the other thing is that Myers Speedway wasn't that different from Bristol, half-mile, circle track, and oval. And so those guys, that's how they grew up on those small tracks. And I remember going to see Richard Petty and Bobby Allison and the likes at Myers Speedway one summer when they came through town.
Were you selling
Before
pop?
Gina was born.
Were you selling pop at the time?
I was selling ice-cold soda waters for 25 cents in the stands at Myers Speedway that were packed.
I love it. I really do. It always makes me smile when I read stories that people post, or you'll post a picture of a race and people will say, oh, I was there when that happened. And then they'll tell different things that happened. And someone else will start and say something, and then you'll get another version of what else was going on somewhere at the track. It's really, really neat.
And it expands the story just from the picture.
Definitely.
Gina, who has those? Who has those pictures, Max of Houston, that they used to sell at the front gate at Myers Speedway? Who has those?
Mark Barnes. I made him an admin. I started this page when my stepfather, Mike Crawford, passed away years ago, almost 10 years. And because I got overwhelmed with all these pictures people would bring, and I thought, I'm going to share this and start this page. And it started out, it was great, but it has slowly grown. And then Mark came into it probably 2 years ago or so, and he would have pictures from Max and then from someone else, a ton of pictures. And he had told me that something had happened to one of the photographers, and they couldn't keep the archives or anything, so he kind of took it over. But he has a ton. I have a lot, but he has a lot more than I do.
Well, I guess I'm going to go online, and now that I know who it is that has the majority of them, I want 3 pictures. Actually, there's many of them that I want. He needs to put them up there and sell them. Seriously, because I want Joe Plowman, and I want George Nash.
Yep.
I want Charlie Child.
Right.
I want those guys. I want those 38 Fords bodies and those great big block Chevy, Pontiac, Ford engines.
Yeah, those are my favorite cars. Really.
They are.
Those are fine. They just have a look to them that's very unique.
Yeah. Well, at any rate, we kind of got off target here, but.
Well, I will tell Mark, though. I will tell him.
Yes.
And I've got a lot of those, too.
Great. Well, it's great to talk to you. And keep posting all of those wonderful pictures. You and Mark post those wonderful pictures from the Wayback Machine here in the Houston area when it comes to auto racing. It's great.
Way back in some cases.
Yeah, I'll tell you a story after we get off the
and
phone here.
And what's good is a lot of the kids and grandkids and great-grandkids are still racing of some of these
those
races.
families. Yes, they are.
That's what's really cool about it, because you can see where the history comes from.
And look
That's
what happened to you, sister.
I know. I tripped and stumbled my way into promotion. Isn't that crazy?
And look at me. So did I from selling soda pops at Myers Speedway. Gina, it's great to talk to you. We love you. Stay in touch with us and let us know what's going on.
All right, guys. Y'all wash your hands and stay healthy.
You too. Bye, honey. Thank
All
you.
right.
Gina Child knows Texas Short Track Racing Series. Okay, and I need to make another announcement here. The fact that Keels and Wheels that was scheduled to happen has been postponed. It was originally, the Uncorked event was supposed to be on April the 2nd. That has been moved to Thursday, October the 1st, I believe it is. And the actual show itself is going to take place on October the 17th and 18th. So there's my announcement on Keels and Wheels. And of course, we'll be in touch with Bob Fuller down there when it comes time to talk about that more. We'll be talking about it on the show continuously. As you know, we tend to forget that we've talked about it 1,000 times and we make it 1,001. Mm-hmm. Hey, if you got a question or comment for us here at In Wheel Time, shoot us an email. The address is info@inwheeltime.com or through our Facebook page. The In Wheel Time Car Show continues after this quick break.
ESPN 97.5.
The Jeep Celebration event is here, and we're inviting you to get great deals on the SUVs built to stand the test of time, which means more time to discover all that awaits in the luxurious Jeep Grand Cherokee. More time to go beyond the ordinary with the help of Jeep Cherokee's legendary capability. More time to chase the sunset in Jeep Compass. And of course, more time taking in some rays in Jeep Renegade. Time is the ultimate test, and your time to enjoy great deals at the Jeep Celebration event is running out. Jeep is a registered trademark.
Do you know what teens just love? Not being told what you're supposed to love. That's not anyone's business but yours. It doesn't matter what you love, but if you love it, click it. That includes you too. Because in 2018, 42% of Texas teens who died in traffic crashes were not wearing their seatbelts. Make sure everyone is buckled up. Every rider, every ride. Brought to you by the Texas Department of Transportation.
You're on the weekly award-winning car talk show In Wheel Time. Coming up this half hour, a Ram Tracks feature. Conrad's Car Clinic. What are you going to talk about? The car clinic
today we're going to talk about maintaining your vehicle's air filter and why and how.
Oh, good. That's a good one. That's a do-at-home thing if you figure it out.
Can be in most cars. It can be.
Okay, so we got that coming up. We got our Ram Trucks features, as I mentioned, and we're also going to talk about automotive news this week. Today's show presented by Ram Trucks, back-to-back Truck of Texas, and by Jeep. The Jeep Celebration event is here, which means great deals on the SUVs built to stand the test of time. They're waiting. Hurry in before time runs out. Along with Mike Out of This World Mars down there, and King Conrad along here, I'm Don Armstrong here. You know, and it's interesting. Black shirt, yellow shirt, fuchsia.
No, that's not fuchsia.
It's green.
Is that what that is?
Screaming yellow lime green.
Lime green. Okay.
Fuchsia
Lime green.
is kind of an off-color pink.
Off-color would work.
Well, that works
It's
for all
kind
four
of
of
the color
us.
that you wear in your underwear, I'm told.
I don't wear any. Never mind.
Whoa.
So did you guys get this in the mail this week?
No, I did not.
I got this in the mail this week. This is the President Trump's coronavirus guidelines for America. And I thought I'd go over them because it's short, it's easy.
Okay.
If you haven't heard it, they always hold this up, but they never give you what's on the sheet of paper. It's easy. So listen and follow directions from your state and local authorities. Yes, I'll do that. If you feel sick, stay home, don't go to work. If your children are sick, keep them at home. Contact your medical provider. If you're an older person or have a serious underlying health condition, stay home and away from other people. If someone in your household has tested positive, keep the entire household at home. Work or study from home whenever possible. Avoid social gatherings in groups of more than 10 people or less. Avoid eating or drinking at bars and restaurants. There are none open. Use pickup or delivery options. Encourage you to go and support your restaurants in your area, places that you normally go to. Yeah. Call them up. Hey, I want to order to go. Well, we buy to pick it up. When will it be ready? Go and do it.
Please go and do it.
I understand if you don't have a job. I get that. But if you got a job, there's no reason for you to change your entire life support your local restaurants.
Particularly, have you eaten my cooking? I'm definitely going to go support the local restaurants.
I'll tell you, remind me about the Great British Baking Show. Avoid eating or drinking at bars and restaurants. Said that. Avoid discretionary travel, shopping, trips, and social visits. Do not visit nursing homes or retirement or long-term care facilities unless provide critical assistance. Also practice good hygiene. Duh. Wash your hands, especially after touching any frequently used item or surface. Avoid touching your face. Sneeze or cough into a tissue or inside of your elbow. And disinfect frequently used items and surfaces as much as possible.
Wear gloves when you pump gas.
And I didn't know this either. Coronavirus.gov. Did you know that?
Yes.
You did know
I
that?
do, yeah.
Okay. Well, I would go into
Well,
CDC.
the other thing, and this is what we did this actually yesterday, is you know some of the elderly that are around you. When you're at the grocery store getting stuff, give them a call and see if they need something. Try and help those people that are most at risk to avoid going out into public places. So you can reach out to your friends and neighbors that are in those at-risk groups and offer to pick up groceries for them. When you gather up the groceries for them, set them outside, ring the doorbell, and dash. It's not a matter that this is not the time to sit there and chit-chat about what all the other neighbors are doing and what that one neighbor knows about everybody else. It's just time to everybody take care of somebody else.
And I do that for my mother. I'd go get her prescriptions, and I go get her groceries. What does she need? And I never really thought about it.
You stay over at her house.
Well, yeah. But my son called me the other day. He said, "Hey, I'm going to HEB. You need anything?" And I'm thinking, why are you calling me? I can go get my... Well, I am one of those older people. I just never think about it.
We see that. We don't need to be reminded of that.
But I go and do things, and if you don't have that state of mind to where you're thinking like it,
Your state of mind is still back there at 16, isn't it?
Somewhere around there. 16, 17, I like it right in there. Those were pretty good years.
And notice that Conrad doesn't say anything.
Says the 12-year-old.
But the point being, people don't think about, sometimes they don't think about themselves being in that group that's a little more susceptible because, you go to work, you go do things, you just don't have that mental attitude that I'm getting older.
Yeah. So even though it's a time to stop social gatherings, it's not a time to stop caring about others.
There you go.
Well, Mars is retired, kind of. Not really. He doesn't have a regular job. Yeah. Well, he doesn't have a regular job that most of us have to have. Conrad works for BG, and you're still working.
I'm still working.
You're busy.
Because, again, the automotive industry is part of the essential transportation and logistics part within the shutdown. So, we're out servicing dealers. We're out servicing independent accounts, making sure that they have the tools, equipment, and oils and lubricants to service the community.
And yours truly is at the top of the list in communications, or as the wives of the past used to say, lack thereof communications. 20 years of therapy pretty much cured me of that and got me onto this radio show.
So, well, the other question is, with you up in the helicopter most of the time, are you 6 feet away from the pilot?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
No, I'm within arm's reach of him. Which is
it's not a very big helicopter.
No, it's not.
None of them are.
And, there are 9 of us that work at the office. There are 4 pilots, and there are 4 people like myself that work there.
Plus 1 admin.
Plus the mechanic.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Wow.
And
he may be the most important person there.
he becomes more important every day in my book. Yeah. A very talented guy. His name is Todd Pierpoint. I know that occasionally he listens to the show. Very talented. And, you have a rapport with mechanics. Todd is not only a mechanic, but he's the go-to guy for pretty much everything. And, he has, like me, muddled his way through all of the high-tech stuff, and especially in our helicopter that has the latest state-of-the-art stuff with the Churchill system, which is called Sky Eye, and the shot over camera system. And he is pretty much a self-taught guy with guys on the phone from New Zealand where the shot over system is made. Try to make that phone call. Let's see, what time is it in New Zealand?
You're right.
Yesterday? Today? How do you do that? And then the Churchill system is based out of Los Angeles. And the Churchill system, the Sky Map, it is based on a system that was created for the police department, based on that. And so it's been around for a while, but they've managed to bring it into broadcasting. But there was a huge learning curve, and Todd was one that just stepped right up to the plate and, I can do anything. Kind of like you when it comes to cars. Oh, yeah. So I was telling Conrad that the air conditioner in the Corvette, the 2001 C5 that I own, works, but all of the air conditioning air volume blows up on the windshield. And so he was telling me, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. He doesn't. He's never worked on it. Have you ever worked on a Corvette?
Oh, yeah. I was assigned to the Bowling Green assembly plant for 10 years.
Well, 2001?
I started there in 99. Not that I was there, but I was assigned to the Corvette platform. I was assigned.
So you know more about my car than I do.
I know quite a bit about it.
Good. Well, I'm thinking about an engine swap. Maybe actually, if I don't do that, then I'm thinking about a blower on it at least. You gonna come over and help me?
Actually,
I'll help you put the blower on.
Well, they've got some real easy install blowers for LS motors.
Yeah, but you were telling me they're like $5,000 to $6,000.
Yeah, well, yeah, because it's got to be fully integrated.
The easier it is, the more it costs.
It's not just the blower, because when you remember,
the whole pulley system.
An engine's an air pump. So the more air you put in it, you got to put more fuel in it with the air, because it's the air fuel volume and mixture is what makes power. So most of these, and Magnuson makes a beautiful valley mount blower system, hides under the hood, looks wonderful on it. But you're going to have to upgrade the fuel system. You're going to have to upgrade the air intake system and the blower and the pulley system on the front of the engine. And in some instances, depending on how much power you want to put out, the pump in the fuel tank. And the pump in the fuel tank of your car is a royal pain in the behind.
No, I'm good.
Well, actually, let me correct that. In 2001, I think it was much easier to access the fuel pump because you could actually access it without dropping the tanks. There was a point in time where the fuel pump mounted in those Corvettes, they took it from the rear of the tank where you could do it without dropping the tank and put it on top of the tank.
So you had to drop the tank.
You have to drop both tanks. Corvettes have 2 fuel tanks in them, and they have a crossover system that pumps the fuel into the other side of the tank.
That'll be the next thing that'll go out.
So kind of called saddle tanks. Well, no, that jet spray thing is simple. It's not it's a fuel flow that causes the fuel to move to the other tank.
Have you noticed how this conversation kind of took a right turn?
He makes everything sound simple, though.
He does. he's like the mechanic.
Oh, that's simple.
Yeah, he's like Bill Wood over at Richardson Chevrolet.
Well, see, I would not call your helicopter guy a mechanic. I would call him a technician. Because to me, there's a progression of skill sets. You have the home guy. You have what I call the lube dude.
Don Armstrong.
you have the mechanics. You have technicians, and then my opinion of the real high-level technicians are diagnosticians.
Well, that's what he is.
Yeah, in my head, there's a progression of people who work on vehicles, a helicopter being a vehicle. So don't just downgrade him to a mechanic.
No. Well, and
I know you didn't mean to.
I apologize.
I know you didn't mean to, but yeah, that diagnostician is.
We didn't have technicians back in my day.
No, they were mechanics.
We had the mechanic.
They were pulling.
We had the lead mechanic who did the big engine overhauls, and I told you about him. Mm-hmm. I'll share that story again.
Well, yeah, but they also had you, the 8 to 16, 17, 18-year-old with that high-speed buffing wheel, and you'd go out there and buff pinstripes into cars because you'd take all the paint off of those sharp edges.
Which there was no paint to begin with.
And make it look like it had a pinstripe on it.
Oh, yeah.
I can't tell.
And they were all silver.
White. That was my nemesis, white cars. Yeah. I can't tell you how many cars I had to send. They had to send to the paint shop to repaint after I buffed the paint right off of it, especially that ridge that went right down the middle of the hood. I was good at that.
You weren't the only one doing that, though.
Oh, no. There was no paint on those cars. Paint was terrible back then. All right. We've got more of the In Wheel Time radio program coming up after this quick break. Stay with us.
You gonna answer that?
To call into the HRP listener line, dial 713-780-ESPN. ACA could be tweaked, reformed, or repealed in the future. But for now, employers must comply. Visit hrp.net for help.
Ram Trucks, back-to-back truck of Texas. The landscape in the Lone Star State has changed, and we've changed with it. Stronger, more powerful, innovative, and luxurious. Awards are great, but the only thing on our mind is getting better, delivering harder for Texans, and pushing the limits of what's possible. Because when you lead from within, you redefine what a truck can do. Ram, built to serve. Ram is registered trademark of FCA US LLC.
911, what's your emergency?
There's a train that just hit a car.
Sir, what is your location? Look around for a street sign, sir.
It's 8th and Orchard. 8th and Orchard.
Okay, very good. 8th and Orchard. Sir, help is on the way.
Why would he do that? The train still doesn't stop. You have to get there now.
At a railway crossing, even if the engineer sees you and hits the brakes, it can take a mile for the train to stop. And for you, that's too late. Stop. Trains can't. Paid for by NHTSA.
It's Houston's #1 car show, In Wheel Time, on the In Wheel Time Radio Network. What were you? What? Did I miss that?
Oh, we were talking.
I was listening to my cue and not you.
No, we were talking about iRacing, and Mars didn't like it.
I expressed an opinion over here.
iRacing.
Offline.
Well, we'll talk about it when we go to the racing section.
All right, time now for Ram Tracks, In Wheel Time's weekly look into the Ram Nation.
So I was looking around wondering when everybody gets ready to start moving, when all this business is over and people are going to be out running around, they're going to have a lot of stuff to do. And one of the things was how to get more stuff in your vehicle, in a Ram truck. And what I found out at realtruck.com, they've got this really cool under-seat storage. So the seats lift up on the Ram truck and you've got a fold-out flat floor. But there's a little open area there underneath the seat you can put a few things in. With this molded plastic type deal that you can sit down in there, you got all kinds of things, some cup holders, and you got lots of room to put tools and stuff. But it also, if you're a sportsman, an outdoor sportsman, it's also got a couple of foam inserts that you can put in there, and you can actually put your shotguns in there or your long guns, and then you can actually carry your rifles and stuff based on your state allowable. So you can put all your weapons in there. Instead of putting them in the back glass, put them underneath the seat.
This is Texas.
That's what I'm saying. That's the reason I'm pointing it out. And it's available in 15 different colors, so it'll match the interior, and you can make it match your guns, the bluing on the steel on your rifle barrels. You can make it all match. Realtruck.com for your Ram truck.
Wow.
What are we doing?
Well, Don's looking at my camera shot and going, why did we go to the 2-shot instead of staying with the 3-shot? And I'm like, well, just to mix it up a little bit.
Because he forgot. And he
I didn't forget. I did that on purpose.
And he won't admit it.
Mars was talking, and I wanted to give him the camera.
We're going to take another break. And,
my neck.
And during,
my neck.
And during the break, we're going to have fisticuffs. But in the meantime, we're going to take a quick break here on In Wheel Time. And when we come back, we're going to have Conrad's Car Clinic right after this.
Sam Windsor with the Houston Sabercats here. Even when I'm down under, I'm listening to ESPN 97.5 on the app. You can stream the boys from anywhere. Mate.
The Jeep Celebration event is here, and we're inviting you to get great deals on the SUVs built to stand the test of time, which means more time to discover all that awaits in the luxurious Jeep Grand Cherokee. More time to go beyond the ordinary with the help of Jeep Cherokee's legendary capability. More time to chase the sunset in Jeep Compass. And of course, more time taking in some rays in Jeep Renegade. Time is the ultimate test, and your time to enjoy great deals at the Jeep Celebration event is running out. Jeep is a registered trademark.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
You know this song?
Yeah, I had to look it up. I know.
You looked it up. Good answer. Dude, you need to sit up here with us and forget that in there. Just turn it all on and come on and sit with us.
That'd be a bad way to go about this.
Probably so. Well, we appreciate you. Thank you, sir. The In Wheel Time radio show. Time now for Conrad's Car Clinic. We're going to squeeze that in, and hopefully in under 4 minutes.
Well, today we're going to talk about air filters and air filter maintenance.
Now, you're talking about the engine air filter or cabin air filter?
The engine air filter. The engine air filter, in my opinion, is kind of like your nose. And your nose tries to clean debris from getting into your lungs and stop the contaminants from getting.
Do you have to take a scissors to it and clip all the hairs that are coming out of it?
If you haven't changed your air filter in a long time, yes, you may. It can get kind of long and hairy and get stuff growing in it. So, a healthy air filter keeps your engine healthy. As the air filter gets dirty and contaminated and clogged, the engine struggles to breathe, kind of like when you have a cold and you have a stuffy nose. So that's not a good thing. Air filters generally are easy to access under the hood of the car, but not all are easy to access. A lot of them, when you open up the hood, you can kind of see where it is, and there's some clips to take off, and you can get the air filter in and out. Some of them, it's clips and screws, and you got to disconnect a hose, and it can be a little bit more complicated.
Make it a day job. I mean, you get under there and do it.
Everybody's home at this point, and it's a good time to start taking care of your car a little bit. So changing your engine air filter can affect the performance and the fuel economy of your vehicle when it's clean versus when it's dirty. So it's always good to keep a nice clean filter inside of your vehicle. And again, as far as replacing it, I would recommend you replace the air filter depending on how far you go on oil changes, every second to third oil change. I would recommend you change your air filter. Even though some manufacturers say change it once every 45,000 miles, believe me, in Houston, your air filter is not going to go that long.
No, it won't.
Just from all
How many miles?
45,000.
What? I used to change mine every other oil change.
Yeah, well, for me, on the Rally, it's you take the wing nut off the top, you take the top of the air filter off, and there's this round thing. And in some instances, if you're checking your air filter, if it's kind of the new square ones, and you take it out and it looks clean, take it and just kind of tap it on something upside down and see how much junk falls out of it.
Not anything that you want to keep clean, but, on the floor or the ground or something.
Right.
Yeah. Well, the 01 Corvette's got a K&N filter on it.
A K&N filter allows more air in. It does a good job of filtrating, but it does it not by the depth, the smallness of the air passages, but it actually has oil that's applied to the filter media, and that oil is what collects some of the debris going in. The problem with a K&N is if you over-oil the air filter, that oil vapor, when you start the car and get it running, that oil vapor gets drawn into the engine, but it's not what gets drawn into the engine, it's what you draw across the mass airflow sensor that leaves contamination on the mass airflow sensor that can mess with the drivability of the car.
So how do I clean the filter and not re-oil it too much?
Well, they tell you how much oil to apply to it, and just follow those guidelines.
It's a spray can, is it not?
Yeah, just don't over oil it. You're going to take it out, wash it out, clean it out.
But it's got cleaner with it too.
Let it dry, because I know that's in the instructions, is they want you to let it dry.
Do they wash it out with soap and water?
That's all I've ever done is washed it out with soap and water.
Don puts it in the dishwasher.
That probably would work as well.
Seriously?
Yeah.
But I thought it had a special cleaner.
Well, they have a solvent you can spray on it to clean it as well, but not everybody's going to spend all that money. It's really just a matter of getting the contaminants out of it. Yeah. So, and then you want to apply a very light layer of oil on it, and then let it dry. Don't put the oil on it, put it back in, and take it for a spin, because that's when you're going to start drawing those contaminants, and that oil on your mass airflow sensor can make a mess.
We've learned
Is that more than 4 minutes?
We've learned something new today, and it's just right on.
Yeah, it's worth it because we learned something.
We did. Did you know all that?
No, I didn't.
I didn't either. I grew up in the era where there was no K&N filters.
Right. I've got a K&N in the Yukon.
Do you?
Oh, yeah. You just throw it in the dishwasher. I've never thrown it in the dishwasher. I just hose it off and
I'm sure
rinse it out.
I'm sure the wife would just love that. Open the dishwasher, looking for her pots that she's going to cook the soup in tonight,
and find the air filter, find the differential cover, the valve cover filters. Yeah, just have all of that stuff in my dishwasher.
I like that idea.
Back
Steam
with the
clean.
second hour of our broadcast after a quick break. You're listening to In Wheel Time, the weekly car show here on the In Wheel Time Radio Network.
Ram trucks, back-to-back truck of Texas. The landscape in the Lone Star State has changed, and we've changed with it. Stronger, more powerful, innovative, and luxurious. Awards are great, but the only thing on our mind is getting better, delivering harder for Texans, and pushing the limits of what's possible. Because when you lead from within, you redefine what a truck can do. Ram, built to serve. Ram is registered trademark of FCA US LLC.
If Baby could talk, she'd say a lot. You'd know what she's thinking and what makes her happy. But unfortunately, Baby can't talk or remind you. You're the one taking her to daycare today, and she won't speak up if you drive straight to work like any other day and never think to look in the backseat. Every year, dozens of kids die from heat stroke in cars. No one is perfect, so set a reminder and always look before you lock. Where's Baby? Paid for by NHTSA.
Your name, please, your name. ESPN 97.5, KFNC, Mont Bellevue, Houston. Brought to you by Zadok Jewelers.
It's hour number 2 of Houston's number 1 weekly award-winning car talk show, In Wheel Time. We are all things automotive. Just ahead, we're going to talk with Mr. Mac DeLopp with John Eagle Honda to find out how his and other dealerships are coping with no sales, employee distancing, and everyday life for those guys that are in the car biz. Not good. In the new car showroom is the redesigned Ford Escape that we'll review. We'll have our Jeep Trails feature, talk to author Neil Bascom about his new book, Faster, and bring you the stories making auto news headlines this week, just ahead in this hour of In Wheel Time, the car show. Today's show is presented by Jeep. The Jeep Celebration event is here, which means great deals on the SUVs built to stand the test of time. They're waiting. Hurry in before time runs out. And by Ram Trucks, back-to-back, Truck of Texas, along with Mike Out of This World Mars, down there, and King Conrad DeLong, here. I'm Don Armstrong, here. Thanks for joining us. On the line right now with us, Mr. Mac DeLopp, managing partner, John Eagle Honda of Houston. Mac, how are you?
I'm very well. How is everybody there?
Well, we're distancing. We don't have 6 feet, but we definitely have 3 or 4.
That's good. That's good.
I take it that you're at the house?
I am. You'll probably hear my dog in the background every once in a while.
That's okay.
That's a good thing.
So, Mac, I wanted to talk to you. We talked to Rochelle Salinas, Vice President out there at Houston Auto Dealers Association last hour, and I wanted to kind of bring it more around full circle and talk to a real honest-to-goodness dealer and find out how you are doing, because this story, U.S. sales have collapsed, a dealership going through reducing executive pay, slashing marketing spending, resizing activity levels before the expected recovery. Other dealer groups Thursday discussed their responses to the global health crisis. And, we've lost Matt. So I know that you'll call him right back. It was a perfect time for him to hang up on us. Yeah, he didn't hang up on us. Yeah. Matter of fact, Group 1 Automotive laying out steps it's taking to respond to the dramatic decrease in business as a result of the coronavirus pandemic. They're going to furlough 3,000 U.S. employees for at least 30 days, slash executive salaries, close stores in the UK and Brazil. Houston-based retailer is the first of the 6 publicly traded dealership groups in the U.S. to share details about its response. AutoNation, the nation's largest new vehicle retailer, said it has adjusted hours at stores, shaving off 1 hour daily. Lithia Motors of Medford, Oregon, anticipates sizable executive compensation cuts following sales slowdowns and partial closures at its dealerships. Mac's with us now again. Mac, so what are you guys doing out there at John Eagle? Because I would imagine that John Eagle is pretty typical of dealerships around Houston trying to stay alive and afloat at this point.
It is, Don, and we're doing everything we possibly can. Of course, you know, there's a lot of there's a lot of misinformation going on out there, whether or not our showrooms are open or not. And we are. We did right after the ruling, the stay-at-home ruling. We got clarification from the judge, and then 1 minute we've got this, our showrooms are open, and then we've got customers calling saying, we heard you all are closed. And so there's a lot of confusion, but HADA, the Houston Auto Dealers Association, did get clarification that new car showrooms are an essential business, and used cars, of course. And we're still selling cars, and I'm sure Rochelle mentioned that as well. We're still selling cars and providing a service to our customers.
An essential service. And I know also your service departments are open, because that's another essential service, is making sure those people who own cars have the option of keeping them running.
That's correct. And you know what we're doing? We are actually doing multi-point checks on all Hondas and Acuras in our shop. We want to keep our technicians busy, are topping off fluid levels for customers. Right now, it's going to be really tough for them to be able to afford servicing. So we're topping off fluid levels. We're checking air pressure. We're checking the vehicles over completely. If I've got to put transmission fluid in, if I've got to check brakes for them, if I have to make minor adjustments, anything that I need to do for the customers that have been so incredibly good for to us in Houston, we're going to take care of them, and we're not going to charge them a thing. We're going to provide discounts on service things that they must have if they have to have repairs or services. So we're going to do whatever we need to do to keep our staff busy and take care of our Houstonians and Hondas and Acuras. That's for sure.
Mac, how are you doing with employees? Have you had to lay anybody off out there?
We have, but you know what we did? We actually went in and we did a mass filing with the Texas Workforce Commission so that they could file or they could get unemployment. And as soon as we see a turn, they're coming home. Yes, of course. I imagine every dealership in the city has had to in some capacity, but we're trying to keep them to the minimum. We're offering if they'd like to cut their hours back to help us, or take a leave, take their vacation. Some of them have decided they wanted to take a week or two off, and so it's just a day by day thing right now, but. We want our family back. We've got 125 of the most incredible associates in the world. It's just a doggonest thing. I've never seen anything like this, and I know you all have not either in the 36 years that I've been with John Eagle.
No, and yeah, none of us have ever been through any of this. You know, somebody asked me the other day, one of my children actually, well, Dad, what can you relate this to? And I said, well, nothing, because it's so unique. The earliest memory that I have of some sort of a real crisis in healthcare would have been polio back when I was a child. That was a big deal for my generation back then, but I mean, that was basically a curable thing.
And they developed vaccines, and polio, to a large degree, is a thing of the past.
Correct.
And
That's
knowing
right.
the quality of our healthcare system and our health professionals and those people making those decisions, they are going to crush as well.
That's right.
So Mac, what are the hours out there now at John Eagle? Just give us an idea, because I would imagine that you're probably, along with a lot of other dealers, reducing hours.
We did indeed. Sales is open from 9 to 7 every day, and our service is open from 7 to 4. We're still busy in the mornings, but we'll take the cars in, scoot you right out. And you know what else, too? Like everybody else, we've gone over and above to make sure that the dealership is safe. We are constantly cleaning. We have our day porter that is out cleaning constantly door handles at least a dozen or more times a day, all day long, spraying, getting everything we needed to do. We've got the sanitation stations all over the place. All they have to do is, they'll see them, but if they need to know where they are, associates will point us in the right direction. We're also doing the same thing with every vehicle serviced. We're going in and sanitizing the steering wheel and the shift knob and every part of the inside of the car, so that we're delivering a vehicle back to our customers that are safe.
Mac, what is Honda telling you? What are your conversations with your
We're
regional?
actually having a number of conversations with them, and a lot of them are best practices. You know, this is really, as terrible as it sounds, it's a great time to buy a car because of all the offers that are being made out there, and there's not one manufacturer that's not helping. For instance, if you've got a Honda Finance loan right now and you're having a hardship situation, you lost your job, you've been laid off temporarily, they're extending terms. All you have to do is call American Honda Motor Company, call American Honda Finance, and they're going to extend the terms for you. I'm sure that's everybody, banks and credit unions and everyone else, but they're there to help. And, I mean, you've seen some of the offers that are out there. Honda's putting loyalty cash out there. They're putting Conquest cash out there. If you own pretty much any make or model, Honda's going to give you an extra $1,000 right now. They're going to delay your terms for 90 days. I've never seen so many incentives on these vehicles in the 36 years that I've been doing this. That's for sure. So it really is a good time. They're trying to help any way they possibly can.
And how I assume that inventory is at its max.
It is, but that's going to change because production has been cut back so significantly. Our factories are closed right now. They want to make sure that their factories are all sanitized. They want to do whatever they need to protect their employees as well. So I would imagine it's going to be another week before they open up the factories here in the United States.
So in that regard, I've got to tell you that new Honda Civic spot is awesome. It makes me want to go out to John Eagle and say, hey, look, I know I ain't going to buy it, but I sure do want to drive it.
Hey, come on out. We're keeping our distance. No worries.
Do you have one of those out there?
You talked about the Civic Type R?
Yeah. Yeah,
we do have one. I've got a white one in inventory right now, and there's actually a limited edition coming.
You know, we may have to go out there as an in-wheel time gang.
Yes.
But we'd all have to drive it separately.
Yeah,
that's all right. That'd be fine. No salesperson allowed.
It's hard to get 6 feet apart in the Civic.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Well, we wish you the best of luck. And, if there's anything that we can do as part of your family, that we're here for you as well. And, if you've got something that you want to relay to somebody, we'd love to get it on the air. So you feel free to call us anytime.
Guys, I listen often. You all are fantastic. It's great that we've finally been able to get back together, and just always a wonderful show. We really appreciate what you do for us in the automotive community.
And, Mac, we know auto dealers here in town are very involved in their community, and we really want to thank you for all you do as well.
We will continue to do so, that's for sure. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mac. Talk to you soon. Mac DeLopp, he's the managing partner of John Eagle Honda. And, Mac was one of the first dealers in Houston, I think, that I actually got a chance to really get to know. And what a great guy.
He's just a nice person.
He is a nice person.
Take all the car stuff out. Mac's just a nice person.
Yeah.
And he's that way at the store. The cool thing is he's very approachable at the store. He's walking through the store all the time, and, he goes out and talks to the technicians, talks to the guys in the lube shop. Everybody knows who he is, and he knows everybody and knows all their name. If he's walking through, customers will grab him, he'll stop and talk to him. He's not aloof as some of them can be. He's extremely approachable. That's what I really like about him.
And that says a lot about the dealership, because that filters through everybody that works there.
Oh, well, again,
the whole attitude.
Yeah, it's a saying I've always had. You can have a boss who tells you what to do, or you can have a leader that you want to follow. Mac's a leader.
Yeah. Well, it's good to know that there are people like that out there, and Mac is our go-to guy when it comes to, he's a past president of the Houston Auto Dealers Association. Mac knows his stuff. He's been around a long time, and I know for me personally, if I'm going to buy a Honda, it's going to be from Mac. Because I got a relationship with him, and I think it's important. Mm-hmm. It's real easy to walk into any dealership. They'll sell you a car, but it's special when you have a relationship with the sales manager, the salesperson. I remember when I was working at Richardson Chevrolet, those guys up front, I was in the back. I was the kid in the back, the shag boy that went
burning the paint off of cars.
Yeah, exactly. Burning the paint off. It cost them money, and they kept me around there for some reason. But, those guys up front, they were family guys. There was one that I got very close with. He was a very good friend of mine, and he did all of the warranty paperwork in this little bitty tiny room.
Oh, yeah, the claims administrator. Oh, yeah.
In the tiny room off of the service department. And nobody ever saw him or anything, but Don Russell was his name. Greatest guy ever.
But a lot of money went through his hands.
A lot of money. And especially back then.
As the claims administrator, yep.
All right, coming up next, Mike going to give you his thoughts on the redesigned Ford Escape. That's in our new car showroom. Be sure and stay in touch with us all week long by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and through InWheelTime.com. Thanks for joining us on the In Wheel Time Car Show.
This is Heisman Trophy winner Troy Smith, and you're listening to ESPN 97.5. Go Bucks.
Ram Trucks, back-to-back Truck of Texas. The landscape in the Lone Star State has changed, and we've changed with it. Stronger, more powerful, innovative, and luxurious. Awards are great, but the only thing on our mind is getting better, delivering harder for Texans, and pushing the limits of what's possible. Because when you lead from within, you redefine what a truck can do. Ram, built to serve. Ram is registered trademark of FCA US LLC.
Man, I love my kids so much. I once sat for 3 hours in the cold rain to watch her soccer team lose by 18 goals.
I love my kids so much, I once used a tube to suck snot out of her stuffed nose at 3 a.m.
You win.
Love your kids? Love them enough to make sure they're in the right car seat. From toddlers to tweens, visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat to find the right seat for their age and size. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
So I just asked Mars, when are we going to have another test of our online work at home kind of thing? And he says, right after this song. Okay.
It's a great song.
Mars just failed the test.
It's a great song. Hello, is anybody home?
Good music choices today.
Yes,
Thank you.
very good. Thank you, sir. This is Houston's most in-depth radio car show, In Wheel Time, streaming right now on Facebook, YouTube, and on InWheelTime.com, I think.
Yes, sir.
We are all things
We are.
automotive. All right, let's move on and do the car review. In the new car showroom, Mr. Mars has the Ford Escape.
The Ford Titanium all-wheel drive Escape.
That's a trim level.
That's a trim level, and it has the optional all-wheel drive on it. Now, this is the fourth generation of the Ford Focus, or the Ford Escape, and it's been completely redesigned for 2020, and it's been on a diet. It's lost 200 pounds this year, and that makes a significant difference in the way the engine and everything works. So it is a compact crossover SUV. It's a little bit longer. It's a little bit wider, and, again, 200 pounds lighter. And so if you look at it, the front end's been completely redesigned, the front fascia. It's got a little more Euro sport-looking profile to it. Got LED lighting all the way around. Got active grille shutters up front. Got a roof rack, and I'm not really sure why a lot of vehicles still carry the roof racks on the side panels on them.
Because it looks good.
Styling.
That's got to be what it is. And it also surrounded the panoramic Vista roof option that we had. And goes back and feeds back into the rear spoiler. We were also rolling on the 19-inch aluminum wheels that were optional for this particular vehicle. Now, if you get into the inside of it, there's a lot more, to me, changes there. We had the leather seating with the titanium level, of course. So we had the power front seats, and the rear seat is a split folding. It folds down, but it also has a slide adjustments to it, so you can move it forward and backward to kind of make the leg room a little bit better. Had the heads-up display also. I thought was really nice to have in the compact crossover category. Got an 8-inch touchscreen up front. It's where you're going to find your nav, your audio controls, and this is where the Sync 3 is. So this is how you're going to really run all your convenience controls. Center console is where you're going to have the rotary shifter. I've grown to like the rotary shifter, and I think everybody ought to do it personally.
I totally agree, because it takes up less dash room. It's not on the stalk up here.
And as long as it's on the dash, I like it. When they mount it on the center console, I really don't.
You know, it's okay on the center console for me.
Yeah. I liked it there.
But I don't like are the push buttons on the center console.
Well, like in this particular vehicle, so it does have some different drive modes and stuff, so there were some push buttons there by it. Well, I have a bad habit. If I'm looking at something, I'll reach down there because I know where that shifter is, and I'll grab it, and you can shift it. I can do it without looking. But sometimes if you got a button that's a little too close,
Mars,
you start hitting buttons.
Mars,
that's not what you want to do.
You know, this is to tell the truth. And we know why you've got your hand down there using the rotary shift knob to shift it, aren't you? You're doing that on the on-ramp acceleration. He's the one that breaks these cars. We got
No,
it.
he isn't. No, he isn't.
Not this time. So, speaking of doing the freeway access ramp test, there are 4 engines available in the new Escape, and we happen to have the 2.0-liter inline 4 EcoBoost. Now, this is kind of the little hot rod, 250 horsepower, 280 pound-feet of torque, backed by that 8-speed automatic with the rotary
That is
shifter.
a hot rod motor.
I love that motor.
And you take 200 pounds off of the car, and it just, because it's the same engine, but it's much, much peppier than what it was last year, if you will. And there are 5 drive modes in it, and they've got a retuned suspension. So you package it all together, and it's a much different driving vehicle. And part of that is also the fact that because of the way the new suspension is mounted and attached to the frame, they've got some new mounts and stuff on it, so it's a lot smoother riding. You don't feel so much of the road whenever you're doing it, but still it's all very tight, and it sits really tight on the road. Now, if you're looking for something to compare this to, you're probably going to look at something like a Mazda CX-5 that starts at $26,135, a Subaru Forester, $25,500, or even a Chevy Equinox at $24,995 to start. Now, you can get into a base model Escape somewhere around $26,080. That'll get you in the ballpark, basically a stripper.
But your titanium with the EcoBoost 2-liter.
Here's the drum roll.
With the all-wheel drive.
Here's the drum roll.
Ta-da! The base MSRP on this particular vehicle, $36,685. Now, the MSRP as tested, which
here we go,
includes the destination delivery charges, $39,775.
Well, I thought you were going to go over 40, and then I would have it. Okay.
That's with destination. It's stuck under 40. I was impressed.
But that doesn't include incentives, and incentives are pretty heavy right now.
Particularly right now. But that's basically the MSRP, and there's a lot of value. They build, as they develop these cars even more, they're putting more and more value into that level, the compacts.
Well, I'll tell you, when I drove it, I don't know, what was it, about 8 weeks ago or so, I really liked it.
Yeah.
And I could not say that about the prior generations of the Escape.
No.
This one here is really...
They really stepped up the game.
Yeah, the prior generations were a little more utilitarian, where this one is much more sedanish in its ride quality.
Yep, that's exactly what I was going to say. It rides like a car.
And they have to be, because that compact category is a super competitive segment. I mean, there is just so many vehicles out there to choose from.
And it looks good.
And all the manufacturers are dropping sedans, so these CUVs are becoming the sedan choice.
New family vehicle.
Oh, is it my turn to talk now?
Well, it just kind of depends on where you want to go to next. If you want to stay with the show, or you want to let Conrad and I go off on left field.
Squirrel.
Squirrel.
There's a shiny thing.
There you go.
As Don unplugs and walks away, and he's going to leave it up to us. Well, with that, we'll talk just a little bit about racing. And last weekend, I go home, and Sunday is my day to watch the races. So I turn on the TV, and here is NASCAR doing iRacing. So they had all of these NASCAR drivers and some drivers from other venues as well, including Dale Earnhardt Jr., sitting inside at their home, inside these real high-tech driver simulators. And it's got 3 or 4 or 5 screens around it, and they are literally racing at
each other
at a track, and they'd have the incidents that they have and damage caused to the car, and they have to pull into the pits.
Wait a minute, is this on TV?
Yeah, this was on Fox last weekend.
It'd be fun to do, but I can't imagine it being fun to watch them do. That's like watching somebody play a video game. That's
it is what you're doing, is you're watching somebody play the video game. But they've got 33 cars, and they all have their paint schemes of who they are and all of that. I thought it was pretty cool. I thought it was a good way to give people racing. And we were talking to Gina before about there's a pent-up demand in the car community to get out and do something, whether it's a car show, go to a race, watch a race. So I thought it was pretty creative on NASCAR's part to do something like that.
So if you're still listening to this show, here's my idea. So let's take those 38 Fords from the mid-'60s with the big block Chevys, Fords, Pontiacs, Oldsmobile engines in them. Let's take that body style and that motor and turn that into a video game for us old people.
They very well may have that platform there. I know on the video game genre, they can do NASCAR, they can do drag racing, they can do road racing, and road racing from all levels of the little Mazda 3 all the way up to Formula One cars and simulations.
I want to do champ cars, and I want to do World of Outlaws. I want to see the driver sitting underneath that great big wing. I want all that.
Well,
and I want to be able to switch between cars, and I want to have that great big simulator with all the screens and the seat. How much does that cost?
Oh, I would say somewhere around $5,000 to $7,000.
I'll bet you can't get it for $5,000 to $7,000
because it's not. You're not just sitting in all of these screens. Your seat has motion in it. So if you're in a turn, the seat turns. If you're in an incident, the seat kind of jumbles and jacks around.
You got that computer open there. Do a little Google search on that. Find out how much one of those things
iRacing
is. I'll bet you that's at least $20,000.
Well, okay.
$20,000
and used
per chair.
Used for $5,000.
It's better than that.
Let's see. Blower on the Corvette or iRacing. I think I'm going to go for the blower.
I think I'd
Corvette.
go for the blower as well.
Yeah.
But it's pretty creative that they are feeding that desire for racing on TV, and I was just totally surprised because I watched it. I watched all of it. I was just engaged.
All right, Conrad, you need to get a life. By the way,
yes,
somebody's asking,
I have a wife.
Somebody's asking if the Indy race is still on schedule.
No.
In COTA, no, that's been put off.
You're talking about the Indy 500? No.
Yep.
It's been moved to the fall.
Well, there's supposed to be a race at Circuit of the Americas the third
weekend. That ain't
weekend.
happening. None of that's happening.
At COTA, and that's been postponed.
Can I just give you my thoughts on all this?
Please.
Can
we stop you?
Yeah, you can. You can say no, shut up, we don't want to hear this. But everybody's talking about, well, when's it going to be over? And the president wants it to be. We all want it to be over quickly.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be over quickly.
It's going to be over when it's safe.
When it's over.
And, we're still on the uptick here in Houston. And I think that it's not going to reach a peak for at least 3 more weeks. This is just my humble opinion. I have nothing to base any of this on, but what I've seen on TV and heard officials and doctors and all say. It's going to be at least 3 weeks before it reaches a peak here in Houston, and maybe not even then.
Where we can bend the
But even then,
trajectory.
Once we start going down the hill, we're not going to be able to still have groups of more than 10 people. You're not going to be able to venture out. I worry about our restaurants. I worry about our small businesses because you're still not going to be able to do any of that. Somebody said, well, July the 4th. No, I don't think so. I think that the earliest will be Labor Day. That's just me. I don't know. Am I wrong?
Get a hold of your favorite restaurant and order to go.
Yeah, and I'm thinking maybe that $20,000 iRacing chair with all the screens on it's looking pretty good about now. And I don't know what the loan rate is at the bank, but I hear that they're giving away money. So let's think about that. Speaking of car shows or any kind of a show on television thing to do, my cousin Penny said, I'm going to do some binge watching. And so what? Okay, so I know all of the car shows, Motor Trend TV. It's my favorite go-to channel. I got all of that.
Me too.
So Netflix, I'm going through there, and I'm not big into most of the movies. I've seen the ones that I want to see, I've already seen. I'll watch a few, but tired of all that, want something different. So I run across this thing called, laugh at you will, which I know you're going to do, The Great British Baking Show. I know where you. I got that. I got that smirk.
Making crumpets, are they?
Trumpets, yes.
Trumpets,
scrumpets. Dumb and Dumber. Don't you remember? Anyway, so it originally.
I've never watched that movie.
You never have watched Dumb and Dumber?
No, not a Jim Carrey.
Everybody has.
Never have.
Both of my girls know all the lines in the movies. They could probably do a stage show, individual stage. Anyway, Great British Baking Show. So they have 10,000 applications for each season, and they dwindle it down to 12 amateur bakers, and they have this incredible tent in the middle of the British countryside that's beautiful. And they all do this hour-long thing of bake-offs. They have 3 of them in the show. I got hooked. I've watched all 10 seasons, including the Christmas special and the Master Baker show. And
Master Baker show.
I wanted to make sure that
I'm hooked on the Food Channel and always have been. I'm a huge fan of diners, drive-ins, and dives, but you can't go there anymore. But I love watching those shows.
Guy
and
Fieri.
but all of the competitive cooking shows are fun to watch. So I've not. Now you're going to make me go look for that.
Yeah, start with episode 1, season 1. And so you can get the gist of it. And after you get done with the first episode, I got to watch. They introduce you to all 12 bakers. You get a little background on each of them and their family, and they bring you into the show. Great production values, very highly produced. It is really good.
Okay.
That's just a little off-the-wall suggestion. Just thought I'd throw that out there.
Back to the iRacing.
Yes.
Have I found a deal for you on eBay?
Oh, my gosh.
On eBay.
Holy cow.
The CXC Simulations Motion Pro 2 Racing Simulator. Now,
2018 model.
This is a 2018 model. So you're going to get a heck of a deal, and you got free local pickup on this vehicle. I mean, this setup. It's the chair with the hydraulics. I was looking.
It's got like 5 screens, blah, blah.
Yes. They'll in delivery, installation, and training by
how much, Mars?
Hold on.
To make it, if you want it new or you want the eBay.
I don't care. Just give me a price.
All right. New. You might as well get new if you're going to get into this.
You
might as well get new.
$74,700.
What did you just say? What did you
$74,700 installed.
The used one was $42,000. He was just showing me. I'm like, oh my gosh! And I was thinking it was $5,000. I'm like, oh, I'm way off.
Yeah, $42,635 is the current bid or best offer, actually,
on a 2018 model.
And you pick it up free. And
never mind.
Well, forget that.
That's the buy it now price.
You know that 10-year-old office chair that I have. I can pretend that it has all of that in there.
Just write it down the driveway.
And my computer screen will be just fine. Are there any free online racing things that you can do?
Oh, yeah.
You still got to go and buy the dang controllers, though, don't you?
You got to buy the controllers. You got to subscribe. And it depends on which track. I was going through here. Each track, you got to pay to be on that track, just like if you were going there real.
They monetize everything.
Oh, no, I'm not. No, I'm out. Great British Baking Show, Netflix, I'm in.
All right. So Don next week will be doing cupcakes for the show, but he'd be doing it from his house.
With a very nice sponge. Hey, if you got a question or comment for us, shoot us an email at info@inwheeltime.com. The In Wheel Time Car Show continues after this quick break.
This is DeAndre Hopkins, wide receiver for the
Arizona Cardinals.
What the? Ain't this some shit? You're listening to ESPN 97.5.
I'm in a glass case of emotion.
The Jeep Celebration event is here, and we're inviting you to get great deals on the SUVs built to stand the test of time, which means more time to discover all that awaits in the luxurious Jeep Grand Cherokee. More time to go beyond the ordinary with the help of Jeep Cherokee's legendary capability. More time to chase the sunset in Jeep Compass. And of course, more time taking in some rays in Jeep Renegade. Time is the ultimate test, and your time to enjoy great deals at the Jeep Celebration event is running out. Jeep is a registered trademark.
911, what's your emergency?
God, there's a train that just hit a car.
Sir, what is your location? Look around for a street sign, sir.
It's 8th and Orchard. 8th and Orchard.
Okay, very good. 8th and Orchard. Sir, help is on the way.
Why would he do that? The train still doesn't stop. You have to get there now.
At a railway crossing, even if the engineer sees you and hits the brakes, it can take a mile for the train to stop. And for you, that's too late. Stop. Trains can't. Paid for by NHTSA.
This is Houston's most in-depth radio car show, In Wheel Time. Streaming right now on Facebook, YouTube, and on InWheelTime.com. We are all things automotive. We thank you for joining us today on this Saturday. Kind of gloomy outside. It's supposed to rain anytime. Matter of fact, I'll be able to tell you here. Let me bring up my app real quick.
I'm okay with a little rain. It'll kind of wash all that yellow snow off your car. The pine pollen.
Oh, that. Because,
I'm
originally from
yellow snow.
Because I'm originally from up north, and yellow snow has a different connotation to it.
And Rochelle had sent me some pictures about 2 weeks ago of what they call valley snow in the Fresno area in that Central Valley, and all of the almond trees were blooming, and Rochelle was out with the dog and Angela taking family pictures in these almond fields with all of the flowers and stuff, and then as the flower petals would fall, it would create a white floor. It was gorgeous photography.
Well,
It is
cool. Bluebonnet season in the Hill Country.
Okay, well, actually would be a good drive to take.
And
you could stay
tomorrow would be better because there's storms coming. Just a little thin line of storms that probably, I don't know, hour and a half away for most of us here in Houston. So there's that. But at any rate, we were supposed to have Randy Weldon, trying to get a hold of him.
Northside Mustang Club.
Yeah. Do we have him on the line? No. Can't get a hold of him because the line's busy. He didn't pay.
Randy, get off the phone.
He didn't pay his dang phone bill or something. But whatever. We were going to talk to him about things that Ford, Mustang, and car clubs. But whatever. We can do news. I guess one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about, because I know that when we're preparing for the show here, that you did the research on it. President of the United States jumped all over GM yesterday for not playing the game, and so he invoked the War Powers Act.
No, the Defense Production Act.
Okay, Defense Production Act, and made them build ventilators because of all the politics that are going on over there at GM apparently, and they originally said, well, yeah, we'll build you 6,000 by the end of next month, and they said, no, we need 10,000. We need them right away.
Right.
And whatever the holdup was, the president really busted him yesterday in his press conference.
Well, and maybe with some good reason. I had a very good friend of mine, Larry Heiss, senior executive with General Motors, had sent me an article talking about, how America's ventilator shortage became part of General Motors' problem, and some of it has to do with how they're going about it. Ford is helping a ventilator producer build ventilators. GM is trying to build ventilators themselves with the help from a ventilator production company that currently builds ventilators. So it's a little bit different.
Sure, there's a lot of bad PR for GM, though.
It is. Maybe some of it's self-inflicted. I know Trump is relatively dissatisfied with GM because of some of the offshore production moves that GM has made.
And the closing down of Lordstown in particular.
And yesterday Trump had said just reopen Lordstown and build ventilators there. Well, that's kind of hard to do because last year General Motors sold the Lordstown assembly plant. And GM is in the process, and it may be on hold at the moment, of building a $2.3 billion battery factory in Lordstown, Ohio, or in that general area of Lordstown, Ohio. So, yeah, they did close down that plant because that vehicle line went out of production, but they are building something else in its place. So, some of the real issue with this is what are they going to do? And again, they're trying to ramp up production, but those things don't happen quickly. They have to bring the technology. The article Larry had sent me said there are 700 components to a ventilator to go from start to finish. So they have to find vendors to provide all of those components. They have to change their machinery around to make all of those components. But this is a company
that's got a bajillion employees and engineers, and I would imagine, okay, so it takes a few days to gather up all the parts and pieces. Could you not get going?
Yes, and they are, and they're on the move getting there. It's just not fast enough for Trump, and it might not, the hope is it is fast enough for the rest of the country. The plan is for them to gear up, but they're really not going to be truly producing parts until sometime in April. Ventilators, maybe close to the end of April.
April is next week.
Well, I'm going to say probably the mid to the end of April is what they're being told, because all of those vendors have to increase their production to make ventilators, and the company that GM Ventec is the company that GM is partnering with. They make 250 ventilators a week right now. GM's plan is to get up and make somewhere in the 1,000 ventilators a week. But all of those parts have to come to GM so that they can assemble them. So GM's taken a bash, and in some instances, rightfully so. But I think in some instances, it's not, it's not GM. They are doing what they can to get there, but it's not easy to move all of those other components.
Well, guess who we found? It's Randy Weldon from Northside Mustangs. Hey, Randy.
Hey, guys.
Hey, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Good. So, what are car clubs doing these days? They hunkering down with the rest of us?
I'm seeing a lot of stuff online, people doing virtual car shows. Had somebody reach out to me from Italy, asked me to shoot a little video that'll run, I believe, this Monday on Neuro TV, where they're getting people from around the world to reach out to their car buddies and kind of a group hug on a global basis.
How fun!
Yeah, just something a little bit different, something a little bit imaginative.
Well, we're going to be doing that next week. We're not going to be here in the ESPN studios. We're going to be online, and maybe you can tell your buddies to join us in Wheel Time on Facebook or YouTube or inwheeltime.com.
Absolutely. Just to this link, or are you guys going to send out the link?
Well, it'll be the same place as we are now.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, but we're going to be doing it from each of our home studios, which we ran a test yesterday, and we found some. That's why we did it and call it a test yesterday, because we're
going through validation at this point.
Yeah, validation,
and we weren't all validated.
Yeah, and I'm not fully validated, but hopefully by the end of the business day today, I'll be validated.
And Randy, you know all three of us, and there are no valedictorians on this dais.
I was never considered the sharpest pencil in the box. I know that much.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, we're all having to. It's funny because I was looking for a connector. I went to 4 places this week trying to find a USB male-female USB connector. Nah. And then I go online and they say, "Oh, yeah, we've got one. It's
3 weeks.
It'll be here in 3 weeks." No. So anyway, we're all scrambling to make do with what we got, and I'm sure that you're feeling the same pain that we are.
Oh, absolutely. Everybody wants to get out. I think somebody mentioned that earlier. Nobody wants to be sitting at home, so everybody's doing what they can on social media. I think when we look at this on a Houston-wide basis, people really still are adjusting to how they have to stay in place, stay at home, whatever they're calling it. And we really don't have that down yet. I mean, you go to the grocery stores, we're still shoulder to shoulder.
Well,
not good for any of us.
The other thing is that, you being a car club, and especially being a Ford Mustang guy, I'm sure that there is somebody in the club that has gone and purchased, let's say, a ball joint, a front-end ball joint that needs to be replaced on their, 69 Mustang, and, they've been putting it off all this time. Well, we got the time now.
Yeah, but you can't have all your friends come over and help you.
No, that's true.
That's right.
Part of what the car club would do is, hey, I've got these things I need to fix on my 69 Mustang, and 5 or 6 people would show up to help and fix. Well, they may show up and help to fix, but with social distancing, you can work on one side, I can work on the other, and somebody can work in the trunk, but at some point, you're not supposed to get that close.
But you do have your laptop with the camera on it, and you could all join up online and say, "Look here, dummy, you're doing it the wrong way."
Yeah. I'll be the guy sitting at the end of the driveway on the ice chest.
Handing out the beers.
I'm just saying, everybody's got their own job.
So, I mean, there's that aspect of it as well.
You're seeing guys do exactly what you said, Dawn. They're buying the parts. They're replacing and repairing the car now that they've got time. I'm also seeing people buy parts that they probably shouldn't be spending the money on, and then they're selling other parts of their car to get some of that money recouped.
Or the lawnmower. That'd be good. Hey, I got a lawnmower for sale. Let's see, how much is that ball joint? $79.95. Well, that lawnmower just happens to be $79.95, and I know you need it.
I'm buying the ball joint.
Yeah, exactly. So there is that.
There could be a chance to get back at the wife or the girlfriend, too, by selling some of her stuff like she sold your stuff when you weren't looking.
Oh, there's that. What a great idea. Yeah.
We'll make sure Adrian knows you said that.
Yeah. And there are
Please
friends,
don't.
And there are friends of us that've got a whole trunk full of stuff that hasn't made it on the car.
Me. Don's thinking this time I could clean my trunk out.
No, we could have a trunk sale. And you could do it live online. Just use your cell phone video, go out there and shoot all the stuff that's in the trunk.
Show all the junk in my trunk?
So to speak.
So to speak, yeah.
that has
there's a word picture you don't want to see.
That has a different connotation to it in my mind, but we'll go with that.
So you could do an online live feed auction, I guess.
I guess you could, or you could just say, "Oh, we'll just send it to you. We'll send it COD." We don't need this anymore.
Yeah, you got PayPal.
I wonder what that transmission's going to cost to ship.
Yeah, no kidding.
There is that. So, what are you guys doing? How are you staying in touch? All online?
Everybody's doing it pretty much online. You've got some people that are close friends that'll get together. There are some private little texting groups that have, people that have something in common that they'll gather together. But that's pretty much everybody's doing what they've been asked to do as far as staying as far apart from one another.
Yeah.
On a mass basis, obviously, there's nothing going on. Northside just held their elections, so April 1st, Mike Grupa will become president, and Darren Bain will be vice president of the club for the next couple of years.
So did Mike not show up for the meeting and got elected?
Yeah, nobody showed up for the meeting and still got elected, yeah.
We know how that works. Yeah. Well, Randy, it's great to talk to you and catch up with you. Stay in touch with us and let us know. We may have to call you back to fill some time. You never know.
Hey, I'll be happy to get on with you guys anytime. Enjoy chatting with you.
We love you, Randy Weldon, Northside Mustang. Take care. Talk to you later. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we got the Jeep Trails feature. Stay with us on In Wheel Time, the car show.
ESPN 97.5.
Ram Trucks, back-to-back Truck of Texas. The landscape in the Lone Star State has changed, and we've changed with it. Stronger, more powerful, innovative, and luxurious. Awards are great, but the only thing on our mind is getting better, delivering harder for Texans, and pushing the limits of what's possible. Because when you lead from within, you redefine what a truck can do. Ram, built to serve. Ram is registered trademark of FCA US LLC.
It's 4 a.m., Monday, and you're literally sucking baby snot through a tube because she's congested. Man, that's love. And if you love her that much, love her enough to make sure she's buckled in the right car seat. To make sure your child's in the right seat for their age and size, visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Show them you love them. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
In Wheel Time, the car show. Join us next week online, inwheeltime.com, Facebook /InWheelTime, or YouTube /InWheelTime. That's where we will be. Time now for Jeep Trails, In Wheel Time's weekly look into the world of Jeeping. It's our weekly feature, and Mr. Mars has that.
The thing that I really love about the Jeep lifestyle is the fact it's all outdoors. They're always finding a good way to go outside and play. And one of the things I found is something called from American Safari JXL. Now, this is a conversion that they do, and it extends the Jeep, and it's a vehicle, camper, whatever. It kind of fits in like the old sliding campers they used to get. They still make them, but, it used to be really popular, slide them into the bed of the truck. Big cab over camper type thing. Well, this is a unit that goes into the back of the Jeep, the JK, the JL. And what it does, it has a pop-up roof like the old VW Vanagon did, kind of come up at an angle.
God.
And what it does, so, two people can sleep in there. It's outfitted. You can get it outfitted.
Does it come with the big doobie that went with the Vanagon?
Well, I'm sure there's probably room for that. But, you get the shower, the toilet, the sink.
What are you
got
doing?
a cooking surface.
Let me
got
see that.
all kinds of stuff that you can do with this thing. It sleeps 1 to 4 people, I guess. 4. It looks like 2 little kids are okay, but I'm not sure about 4. I guess if you were back in 1967,
social distancing, right?
Yeah, you would go with 4.
Does the front of it
if you
come
stack
up?
4 people in vertically,
it goes up like that, so that all your
It's a
headroom is in the
triangle.
back. Yeah,
So your feet
like
go
the
down
old
at the front.
Volkswagen things, the old Volkswagen Vanagon things. But anyway, so there's a camper that you can go anywhere you want to go. I loved it.
All right. I mean, I guess that there's support on the roof, enough support on the roof.
Well, it's a unit that goes into the back of the vehicle
The whole
and kind of
thing.
fits
I
in
got
there.
you.
Yeah.
All right.
And gets
Strange looking,
15
actually.
inches of usable space, added to it. All kinds of different things you can do with this. Anyway, check it out again. American Safari JXL conversion.
Okay, very good. We've got author of a book that we're going to talk to coming up next. That's coming up here on the In Wheel Time radio program.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys! I love this song! I love these nachos. I love our kickball league! Ugh! I love this guy! What's your name? You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
The Jeep Celebration event is here, and we're inviting you to get great deals on the SUVs built to stand the test of time, which means more time to discover all that awaits in the luxurious Jeep Grand Cherokee. More time to go beyond the ordinary with the help of Jeep Cherokee's legendary capability. More time to chase the sunset in Jeep Compass. And of course, more time taking in some rays in Jeep Renegade. Time is the ultimate test, and your time to enjoy great deals at the Jeep Celebration event is running out. Jeep is a registered trademark.
Welcome back to the In Wheel Time radio program. Thank you very much for joining us here in the last 10 minutes of our show. Got on the line with us now an author. The name of the book is called Faster, and the author's name is Neil Bascom. Neil, great to have you on the air with us.
Well, thanks for having me.
Well, so Faster, how a Jewish driver, an American heiress, and a legendary car beat Hitler's best. Fascinating, and I love the artwork on the front of the book. Holding it up now is for all of our online viewers and listeners. And so we want to know a little bit about it, and I'm going to let you give us an overview of the book and how you came about writing it.
Sure. Well, a few years back, maybe 4 years back, I saw this little article about the Pebble Beach Concours, and in it was this car that Peter Mullen, a French classic car collector, had brought out, this Delahaye 145, and in the war it had been sought by the Nazis, and they had hid it in some caves in the north of France. And I just was sort of, that little nugget kind of fascinated me, and I wanted to know, what kind of car, why was Hitler pursuing it? And it brings me to this story of René Dreyfus, who was a French driver, a very good Grand Prix driver before World War II. He had found himself sort of on the outs from most of the teams, the best cars, the best teams, because he was Jewish. So the Italians let him go. He couldn't drive for Germany because of the rise of fascism, and he's kind of a jockey without a horse. And into his realm comes this woman named Lucy Schell, who was probably one of the best rally drivers of the time, an American heiress. She's quite rich, very good, very bold driver, and she had decided in 1936 to start her own Grand Prix racing team, the first woman to ever do so, run it and try to beat the Germans, who had dominated the Grand Prix soon after Hitler launched a sort of gambit to rule motorsport with his Silver Arrow race cars.
Well, I'm looking at a picture of the Delahaye 145, and you got to admit, it is an odd-looking car, to say the least. And how does it turn? I mean, did the car ever race, and did it place?
So yes, it did indeed. The Delahaye 145. Everyone said it was. Even René Dreyfus said it's the ugliest little car I've ever seen. It had a V12 unsupercharged engine. It was probably half as powerful as the Silver Arrows by Mercedes, and which had supercharged engines, which looked like basically spaceships on wheels. And in fact, in 1938, at the start of the new Formula season, the Delahaye and the Silver Arrows faced off against each other in the opening, and the Delahaye swept the field of the Silver Arrows.
Well, is this your first venture into automotive?
It is. It absolutely is. I was, fascinated by these individuals, particularly René Dreyfus and Lucy Schell, and also the German driver, Rudi Caracciola, who was probably the preeminent Grand Prix driver of his time. It was kind of a reluctant hero for the Nazis. And it's just, the story of these individuals was fascinating, and the cars writing about cars, writing about these races became something that I just fell in love with.
Well, all of us have got plenty of time on our hands these days, and a lot of us are readers, and this is one book that I think will be fascinating to most of us car guys. Neil, it's great to talk to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Where can we find the book?
You can find the book at your local bookstore, on Amazon. The audio version's available pretty much anywhere.
Very good. Thanks again. It's a pleasure to talk to you. Let's stay in touch.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Neil Bascom, author of the book Faster. We've got more of the In Wheel Time radio program right after this.
Ram trucks, back-to-back truck of Texas. The landscape in the Lone Star State has changed, and we've changed with it. Stronger, more powerful, innovative, and luxurious. Awards are great, but the only thing on our mind is getting better, delivering harder for Texans, and pushing the limits of what's possible. Because when you lead from within, you redefine what a truck can do. Ram, built to serve. Ram is registered trademark of FCA US LLC.
GTG, BRB, OMW, be there in a few. You may think that these kinds of texts are fine because of their length, and you can easily send them at a stoplight. But no, answering one text can take your attention away from the road for 5 seconds. And traveling at 55 miles an hour, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Make good decisions, don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
The In Wheel Time radio program, and I wanted to explain to everybody that, and I'll mention this once again in our close, but this is our last radio show for a few months. We're going to social distance like everybody else, and we're going to do the show, as weird as it's going to be, from each of our homes. Mr. Mars from, I was going to say East Texas, but no, it's east of here, over in Nederville, or Nederland, as most people would, the home folks would say.
Yes.
And then we have Cy Fair, Conrad, over here.
Up in the Lakewood Forest.
And then I'll be out in Sugarland, down by the sugar factory.
So we're going to cover the Houston metro area.
We're going to surround it.
Yeah, and the world, because we're only going to be online next week and for a few weeks to come. So we invite you to join us for that. A couple of stories I wanted to get in. Ford to restart some plants, at least at this point, they're saying in April. Toyota, Honda, others extend closings. I'm just giving you headlines here from autonews.com because I've run out of time. You know, it's funny. We worry about being able to fill the time. We always fill the time and run out of time because of my diarrhea mouth.
No, we just get going, and we're having a lot of fun here.
Honda will extend the shutdown of U.S. and Canada plants by a week, resuming production April the 7th. General Motors said it plans to extend a shutdown of North American plants beyond a previous March 30th target date. Fiat Chrysler said its plants across the U.S. and Canada, as well as its Detroit area headquarters operations and construction projects, will stay closed until April the 14th. GM cuts white-collar salaries 20% and furloughs 6,500 workers. Elon Musk, in a tweet, said that he helped acquire 1,255 ventilators from China, of all places, last week and arranged for them to be airshipped to L.A., where health officials fear a lack of supplies to treat COVID-19 patients. And the stories go on and on. And, you can read all that stuff at automotivenews.com, and we post our own stuff as well on inwheeltime.com. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to be back and close out today's show right after this. Stay with us on In Wheel Time.
A crying baby is impossible to ignore, but a quiet baby can be easy to forget. Every year, dozens of children lose their lives because otherwise attentive adults forgot they were in the back seat. It only takes a moment for a car to heat up to dangerous levels, even on cooler days. So get in the habit of always looking in the back seat and use reminders to ensure baby is always with you. Where's baby? Look before you lock. Paid for by NHTSA.
The Jeep Celebration event is here, and we're inviting you to get great deals on the SUVs built to stand the test of time, which means more time to discover all that awaits in the luxurious Jeep Grand Cherokee. More time to go beyond the ordinary with the help of Jeep Cherokee's legendary capability. More time to chase the sunset in Jeep Compass. And of course, More time taking in some rays in Jeep Renegade. Time is the ultimate test, and your time to enjoy great deals at the Jeep Celebration event is running out. Jeep is a registered trademark.
Well, gents, I don't know when the next time I'll actually see you in person, but something tells me we'll be getting together somewhere along the lines. You got some sort of connector for me, or what are you doing? Or I need some sort of fuel additive treatment from you. I don't know what it's going to bring.
It'll be something.
Yeah,
it will be something. Well, that's it for today's In Wheel Time program presented by Jeep and Ram. When you're on Facebook, give us a like. You'll get Conrad's unicorn hunting features along with all things automotive. And while you're online, you'll want to sign up for our feeds on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and every other social media site. Thank you, Del Olay. Olale, that is. He's our engineer today. For Mike Out of This World Mars and King Conrad DeLong, I'm Don Armstrong. This is our last radio broadcast for a while. Next week, you'll find us on our usual social media outlets. To our friends at FCA, Jeep and Ram, a heartfelt thank you for 9 wonderful years sponsoring In Wheel Time. We're with you in this crisis. Please don't stop making wonderful, fun, fast cars and SUVs. Keep all those great, wonderful people who work for you employed. And a special thank you to Kimberly Schultz at FCA, who works tirelessly with all of us media types. We love you. Now we'd like to thank you, our listener, for following us here on In Wheel Time. Please tell your car friends about us. Have a great week and stay cool like you know you are.
ESPN 97.5. Presented by Zadok Jewelers. There are jewelry stores, then there's Zadok's. KFNC, Mont Bellevue, Houston. This is Game Day on ESPN Radio.